Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing my layout as a guest designer for the Scraptember series that is being run by Miranda Weber, Laura Alberts and Natalie Bowers. They're doing a video for every day in the month of September and they have a guest designer joining them each day, and today is my turn. So we all had a list of prompts that we could choose to use if we wanted to, and mine was washi. So I have pulled out, as you can see there, a bunch of different washies out of my stash. They're all ones that somewhat closely match the colours in this collection that I'm using, which is the Sugar Belle by Rosie's Studio collection. And I picked this beautiful photo of my baby girl. This was on her very first birthday, so it's over a year old now, but yeah, I am super behind in my scrapping. I don't scrap chronologically, so I still have photos from like 10 years ago that I need to catch up on, so I'm not worried too much about that. Okay, I'm popping all my washies in. I'm trying to get them ranged so that the colours are sort of evenly spaced, so you don't have two pinks together and two blues together sort of thing. So I had an idea of making like a pennant sort of banner, and I pulled out my washi here. I'm just trying to decide whether I want to use it as is or put it on a bit of white paper. And so I tested it out. I folded it in half because real washi is quite transparent, so if I was planning on using a pattern background or something, you wouldn't be able to see it very well. But I do end up actually using a white background, so it wouldn't have mattered much at all. But yeah, I mean, this is a good way to get a nice crisp detail out of your washi anyway. So I'm just popping it down on a piece of white silk paper, digital silk paper, and I've used a bunch of the coloured ones, and then you can see there I did a bunch of the white with gold foil because I just thought that that would help it from becoming too busy. You'll kind of see how I do it all very shortly as it all comes together, but I'm just cutting these out now off the backing paper, and then I'm going to go through and thinking about adding them to my twine. So this is the twine I've chosen. I had a few that I could have chosen from, but I like the white and the gold. Just trying to keep it from getting too busy because there's a lot of patterns in that washi. So while I'm doing this, I'm just folding them all up. I will remind you to go and check out the Scraptember playlist. Go check out Natalie, Miranda and Laura's channels, and there's going to be heaps of inspiration over there this month. So many super awesome videos going up, so definitely go check that out. Okay, so here you can see I just folded all my little pennants in half, and now I'm going through with some glue and gluing my pennants on there. So this is another way, if you find that when you use washi like this it doesn't stick very well, sticking it to the paper first and then gluing the paper will definitely keep it together, and it makes it a bit more sturdy as well. There we go. And now I'm just going through them with my big scissors and trimming them to roughly the length I want, and I'm just going to use that first one as a bit of a template so that they all end up the same length. Otherwise, you know, yeah. It's a bit quicker and easier than going through with a ruler and measuring them all as well. Okay, so now to make the little banner shape, I'm just snipping straight up the middle, and I'm not being too pedantic about how perfect this is. I'm just, yeah, snipping up about 5mm and then trimming from the corner to corner, just like that. And that didn't take too long at all. There we go, and I made three, as you can see, three little pennants, and I'm going to try and sort of layer them over one another like that at the top of the page. Okay, moving on to my photo. So I'm just trimming out quite a bit of the background. It's all blurred out and quite dark anyway, so I just want to focus in on her beautiful little face. She was so bald still by age 1. She still doesn't have a lot of hair, but it was so fine and soft and blonde. Little darling. Okay, so the same paper I used to back my washi strips, I'm just going to use to put a thin white border around my photo. And then I'll make a couple of layers with the 6x6 paper pad. So I like this blue. And I think the little cakes and everything are gold foiled. So this collection is very sort of baking themed, a lot of cakes and baking themed things in it, which makes it really good for birthdays. I don't actually use many cake themed bits actually out of the collection on this layout, which I was surprised by, but oh well. Okay, I'm digging into the cardstock, or they're glitter die cuts. So made from glitter cardstock. They're really, really gold and really sparkly. Very pretty. And I spotted this in there, and they're so sweet, and I thought that was perfect for a title. So I'm just going through and popping all the bits out of the center. And I pulled out a few other pieces there you can see that I think I might get onto the layout. So I'm thinking about background paper now. I really like this floral. I think it's really pretty. So I'm going to use that as a sort of border layer. I thought about using pattern paper for the background, but all those washi patterns are already just so busy and different colors and patterns. It was just going to be way too much for the eye to focus on. So I decided just to go with white, and I'm going to border it with that beautiful floral. So I'm just cutting off 2 centimeters from 2 sides of the paper, so I have a nice 1 centimeter border all the way around. And I'm going to gut this paper. I don't usually gut the Rosie Studios paper, but I just really like this pattern, so I want to keep it. As you can see, the paper is quite thin. It's actually very thin for scrapbooking paper, so I only gut it if I really, really like the paper. So I'm just using double-sided tape to stick my background paper down. And when I do this technique, I tend to just peel up 1 strip of the double-sided tape, and then you can see I sort of peel it as I go. It just helps me line it up more easily. If you stick it down crooked and you've peeled all the tape already, it's really hard to then peel your paper up. So I'm just laying these out roughly. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go yet. Just now I want them to overlap slightly at the top of the page there. So like I said, this photo was taken on her birthday. It was at her birthday party, so I thought the little buntings were perfect for a birthday. Still messing with those. I fuss with them a lot. I've cut most of it out for you. You don't need to see that. So that is where my title is going to go. Now I'm pulling out all the die cut ephemera, and I am going to start embellishing. So I stick to these mostly around my photo, and then I will do a little cluster up the top as well. I love that butterfly, but it doesn't make it. It's just a bit too big, I think, with all those buntings up the top of the page there. I love that little ticket. I pretty much just go to town with florals on this one. So I pulled in that little floral there. I like this little cat. It has nothing to do with cats, this layout. We don't own a cat. There was no cats at the party. I just think he's cute. His little head poking out from all the florals there. So I don't think you necessarily have to be super literal when you're embellishing a layout. So some more florals. I like that little blue bow at the top of the photo. That will stay there. Little navy flower. I tuck in this little doily, but I don't think it stays there. I think I decided it was a bit too dark. So I'm starting to build my cluster at the top here. That is pretty much exactly how it's going to go. I think that's the quickest I've ever built a little cluster in my top corner like that. I usually really struggle with those, but that just came together beautifully. Yep, I pulled that doily out, and I'm popping in another one of these florals. No, I'm not. Just rearranging, fuss, 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 and that one goes in, yep, at the bottom there. Such a pretty, I love collections with lots of florals in them. Florals are definitely my jam. So I want to bring in a couple more of these glitter cardstock die cuts, because that title is glitter gold, and yeah, I just want to bring it in 2 more places. So I have that cluster of 3. I love that leaf. A lot of these die cuts have gold foiling on them too, so super pretty. There we go, little gold flower at the top. So that's my cluster of glitter. So starting to glue things down now. I'm pretty happy with where everything is placed, so I'm going to glue those ones on top of my photo, and then I can pick my photo up without disturbing anything and add some foam. Of course, almost always pop my photo up on foam. There we go, and then I'm just going to go through and add a little bit of foam on those die cuts that I have on top of my photo as well, just so they don't sag and look weird. I want them popped up as well. So I don't show you this whole thing. We'll skip forward in a minute. And once I've done all that, I'm just going to add some foam to the back of that flower that I had up in my top cluster as well. Just add a little bit more dimension to that section. Then a little bit of wet glue. Lovely. And I will glue down my photo as well. So I'm just using a tacky glue. I use the J Burrows brand from Officeworks if you're in Australia, if you're interested. There we go, all glued down, and then I have gone in and added, I think, yep, I moved that leaf down a little bit, that gold glitter leaf. And now I'm going to go ahead and pop my title up on foam as well. So I'm just cutting very thin strips of that craft foam. And I don't put this behind the whole title because obviously some of those parts of the script word especially are very, very thin. And my foam is coloured too. So now I'm going ahead with my bunting. I'm adding foam squares to the back of just that top layer. So the other two are glued directly to the page. And I'm going to just stick that on top just to give a bit more dimension, make it look like there's layers of bunting rather than just sort of three glued right next to each other, I guess. Took me so long to get those even, so where they looked like they're actually hanging and not sort of all awkward. I still don't know whether I achieved it, but I'm happy with it in the end anyway. That's the main thing. So I'm just gluing all my little strings down now so nothing moves. And now it's time for finishing touches. So I'm just going in with some splatters. These are my watercolor set. They are the Mikador brand. They're not super expensive. And I'm just mixing a bubblegum pink, that beigey sort of flesh color, and the white together to get just the right shade of pink that I wanted. And then I'm taking a couple of different paintbrushes to splatter. I used my fluffy one to create some bigger drops, and now I'm using my little fine brush just to create some really teeny tiny little splatters. And then I'm taking my gold Kaiser mist and I'm just sprinkling that all over the place. Gotta have some gold, of course. It's already gold foiling and gold glitter on the page, so this just makes sense. And this is a sticker pad from Rosie Studio again. I'm not sure what collection it's from or what it's called. I've had it for a while, but it has these tiny word stickers in the back, and they're white and they're gold foiled, so I thought that was perfect. And this one, first one says happy birthday, and then the bottom one says make a wish. And for the very last thing, I'm going to scatter some sequins. I've got a gold, a peachy flesh coloured sequin, and a pink sequin there too. So I'm just going to do one of each of those colours in some clusters of 3. And I've done 4 clusters of 3, which technically I probably shouldn't have done. So I've done one around my title, one around each of those embellishment clusters around my photo, and then one at the top around that little cluster as well. But I don't really care. Yeah, I like it. I'm happy with it. That's the main thing. So I'm going to glue those down with just a dab of a little tacky glue. So I just put a little drop down and then pop the sequin right on top. And that is my layout finished. So thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to go check out Miranda, Laura and Natalie's channels. The links to those will be in the description box. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.